Have you ever noticed that some of the happiest retirees seem to disappear? Not literally. But one day they're working, and the next day they're quietly enjoying life. No big announcement. No social media post. No retirement party with a giant banner. No public countdown. Meanwhile, others announce their retirement to everyone they know, and suddenly their lives become more complicated than ever. Financial experts have observed a surprising pattern. The retirees who enjoy the most financial freedom, the least stress, and the greatest peace of mind often follow one simple rule. Retire quietly. Tell no one. At first, that sounds strange. After all, retirement is supposed to be a major life achievement. You've worked for decades. You've sacrificed, saved, invested, and planned. Shouldn't you celebrate it? Of course. But here's what many people don't realize. The moment you publicly announce that you've retired, something changes, not just in how people see you, but in how they treat you. And in many cases, that change can cost you money, freedom, relationships, and peace of mind. Today, we're going to uncover why financial experts increasingly recommend a quiet retirement strategy, why wealthy retirees often keep their retirement private, and how staying silent may be one of the smartest financial decisions you'll ever make. Let's begin. Imagine this. You tell everyone you've officially retired. Friends congratulate you. Family members celebrate. Neighbors hear the news. Former co-workers spread the word. At first, everything feels wonderful. Then the requests begin. A family member suddenly needs financial help. A friend asks for a loan. Someone wants you to co-sign something. A relative assumes you have plenty of free time. Another person thinks you can babysit whenever they need. People start making assumptions about your finances. And that's where the trouble starts. The average person hears the word retired and often translates it into something entirely different. They think, he must have a lot of money. She probably doesn't need to worry about finances anymore. They've got plenty of free time. They can afford it. But retirement doesn't automatically mean wealth. Many retirees are carefully managing every dollar. They have budgets. They have withdrawal strategies. They have investment plans. They have decades of expenses ahead of them. Yet once people believe you're financially comfortable, the expectations begin to grow. Financial experts call this a form of social pressure. And it can slowly erode both your finances and your happiness. Here's something interesting. Many financially successful retirees don't advertise their wealth. In fact, some intentionally appear ordinary. They drive modest cars. They live in normal neighborhoods. They avoid showing off expensive purchases. And often, they don't tell people they've retired. Why? Because privacy creates protection. The less information people have about your finances, the fewer assumptions they can make. Think about it. If nobody knows you've retired, they simply see you as another person living their life. But once retirement becomes public knowledge, many people start estimating your net worth, even if they have absolutely no idea what your financial situation actually looks like. And those assumptions can create unnecessary complications. The wealthiest retirees understand a simple truth. Privacy is a financial asset. The less attention your money attracts, the easier it is to protect. Retirement is supposed to mean freedom. Freedom from schedules. Freedom from bosses. Freedom from alarm clocks. Freedom to spend your time however you choose. But ironically, many retirees lose that freedom shortly after retiring. Why? Because they become too available. The moment people learn you're retired, your calendar suddenly belongs to everyone else. Need help moving furniture? Call the retiree. Need someone to watch the kids? Call the retiree. Need a volunteer? Call the retiree. Need help running errands? Call the retiree. Before long, the freedom you worked decades to achieve begins disappearing. Financial advisors often warn retirees about this exact issue. Retirement should be designed intentionally, not filled automatically by other people's priorities. When you retire quietly, you maintain control over your time. You decide what deserves your attention. You choose where your energy goes. And that freedom is priceless. There is another danger that few people discuss. It's psychological. When retirement becomes a public identity, many people feel pressure to live up to expectations. Suddenly they're expected to be constantly happy, constantly traveling, constantly enjoying life, constantly proving that retirement was successful. This creates a hidden burden. Because retirement isn't perfect. There are good days and difficult days. There are exciting moments and boring moments. There are health challenges. There are financial concerns. There are unexpected problems. But when you've publicly announced retirement as the greatest moment of your life, it becomes harder to admit when reality isn't matching expectations. Financial experts often encourage retirees to focus less on appearances and more on personal fulfillment. A quiet retirement allows you to build your new life privately. Without pressure. Without judgment. Without performance. Now let's talk about something even more serious. Scams. Retirees are already among the most targeted groups for financial fraud. Scammers know retirees often have savings, investments, pensions, or retirement accounts. When your retirement status becomes widely known, you may attract unwanted attention. Not everyone who approaches you has bad intentions. But some do. The more people know about your financial situation, the more vulnerable you become. This doesn't mean becoming paranoid. It simply means being cautious. The same way you wouldn't publicly announce your bank account balance, many experts believe you shouldn't publicly discuss your retirement finances either. Silence isn't secrecy. It's protection. And protection becomes increasingly valuable as your retirement savings grow. One of the biggest mistakes retirees make is confusing wealth with spending. They think retirement means it's finally time to show everyone they've made it. Luxury cars. Expensive vacations. Large purchases. Visible upgrades. But many of the wealthiest retirees follow the opposite strategy. They stay financially invisible. Why? Because every dollar spent on impressing others is a dollar that can't continue working for you. Financial independence isn't about looking rich. It's about staying rich. And the retirees who understand this distinction often enjoy the greatest long-term security. While others are trying to appear successful, they are quietly protecting their future. That's why many financial experts emphasize a surprising principle. The goal of retirement isn't to impress people. The goal is to maintain freedom for the rest of your life. And sometimes those two goals are completely opposite. There is one final reason quiet retirees often seem happier. They have fewer expectations to manage. Nobody is watching them. Nobody is evaluating them. Nobody is comparing their retirement lifestyle to someone else's. They are simply living. They can travel if they want. Stay home if they want. Start a business. Volunteer. Learn a skill. Take a nap. Read a book. Spend time with family. Their choices belong to them. And that may be the greatest retirement luxury of all. Not money. Not status. Not recognition. But complete control over how each day unfolds. Researchers have spent decades studying happiness, and one finding appears again and again. People tend to be happier when they spend less time seeking approval from others. Now think about retirement. For the first time in decades, you have the opportunity to design life entirely on your own terms. But if everyone knows you're retired, many people will have opinions about how you should spend your time. Some will think you should travel more. Others will think you should work part-time. Some will expect you to help family constantly. Others will question your decisions. Suddenly, instead of living your retirement, you're defending it. Quiet retirees avoid this trap. They don't feel the need to explain every choice. They don't seek validation. They simply enjoy their lives. And ironically, that often makes them happier than retirees who constantly share every detail. Financial experts frequently point out that wealth is not just measured by money. It's measured by freedom. It's measured by peace. It's measured by control over your own life. And privacy helps protect all three. Now let's discuss one of the most uncomfortable realities of retirement. Family expectations. Most families are loving and supportive. But money can change relationships. Imagine two different scenarios. In the first scenario, everyone knows you've retired. They assume your mortgage is paid off. They assume your investments are large. They assume you're financially secure. When a financial emergency occurs, who do they think of first? You. In the second scenario, your retirement remains largely private. People know you're doing well, but they don't know details. Their assumptions become limited. The pressure decreases. The relationship stays healthier. This doesn't mean refusing to help family. Many retirees gladly support loved ones when appropriate. The issue is expectation. When people expect financial assistance, relationships can become strained. When help is offered voluntarily, relationships often remain stronger. Financial planners often remind retirees that retirement savings have one primary purpose: to support the retiree. That sounds obvious. But many people forget this after years of putting everyone else first. A quiet retirement helps keep priorities clear. Here's something that surprises many people. A growing number of retirees return to work. Not because they need money, but because they want purpose. Some start consulting. Some launch small businesses. Some teach. Some volunteer. Some turn hobbies into income. The problem occurs when retirement has been publicly announced as the final chapter. Then any future work decision can feel embarrassing. People start asking questions. I thought you retired. I thought you were done working. What happened? The retiree feels forced to explain. But a quiet retiree doesn't face this problem. They have flexibility. They can change directions whenever they want. They can work. Stop working. Start a project. End a project. Nobody expects anything. And that flexibility is incredibly valuable. Financial experts often emphasize that retirement today is very different from retirement 50 years ago. Modern retirement isn't a finish line. It's a transition. A new chapter. And new chapters often evolve. Privacy gives you room to evolve without pressure. There is another advantage wealthy retirees understand very well. Being underestimated. Most people spend their lives trying to impress others. Successful retirees often do the opposite. They become comfortable being underestimated. They don't need expensive symbols of success. They don't need recognition. They don't need validation. Because their confidence comes from security, not appearance. When people underestimate you, something interesting happens. They stop competing with you. They stop comparing themselves to you. They stop making assumptions. Life becomes simpler. Financial experts have long observed that many truly wealthy individuals look surprisingly ordinary. You would never guess their net worth. You would never know how much they've saved. You would never know how financially secure they are. And that's exactly how they prefer it. Not because they're hiding. but because they're protecting their peace. So what does a quiet retirement actually look like? It doesn't mean disappearing. It doesn't mean lying. It doesn't mean avoiding friends and family. Instead, it means sharing less information than you normally would. You don't need to announce your net worth. You don't need to discuss investment accounts. You don't need to reveal pension amounts. You don't need to explain every financial decision. You simply live your life. If someone asks what you're doing these days, you can keep it simple. I'm enjoying a different pace of life. I'm working on a few personal projects. I'm focusing on things I enjoy. That's enough. The less information you provide, the fewer expectations others create. And the more freedom you keep for yourself. Many people imagine wealthy retirees living flashy lifestyles. Some do. But many don't. In fact, some of the richest retirees are nearly invisible. They shop at normal stores. They live below their means. They avoid unnecessary attention. They prioritize long-term security over short-term appearances. Why? Because they understand a fundamental truth. Money grows best when it isn't constantly being used to impress people. Every unnecessary expense creates pressure. Every attempt to maintain appearances creates stress. Every effort to prove success reduces freedom. Quiet retirees avoid these traps. Their focus isn't on looking wealthy. Their focus is on staying financially independent. And that's a very different mindset. At its core, retirement isn't about quitting work. It's about gaining control. Control over your schedule. Control over your choices. Control over your future. For decades, your time belonged to employers, deadlines, meetings, and responsibilities. Retirement changes that. But only if you protect it. The moment other people's expectations take over, your freedom begins shrinking again. That's why financial experts increasingly recommend protecting your retirement the same way you'd protect any valuable asset. Because that's exactly what it is. You've spent years building this chapter of your life. It deserves protection. So, why do financial experts say you should retire quietly and tell no one? Not because retirement is something to hide. But because retirement is something to protect. A quiet retirement reduces financial pressure. It reduces expectations. It reduces unwanted attention. It reduces social obligations. And most importantly, it preserves the freedom you've spent decades working to achieve. The happiest retirees often aren't the loudest. They aren't posting every detail online. They aren't trying to prove anything. They're simply living. Enjoying their mornings. Protecting their finances. Spending time with the people they love. And creating a life that belongs entirely to them. So if retirement is approaching for you, consider this simple question. After working for 40 years to earn your freedom, why give that freedom away by inviting the entire world into your financial life? Maybe the smartest retirement strategy isn't announcing your success. Maybe it's quietly enjoying it. Because sometimes the greatest luxury in retirement isn't wealth. It's privacy. And sometimes the richest life is the one nobody knows you're living.